Kyler situation, I find it interesting how we talk about Kyler, we talk about Cliff. Oftentimes, we saw Cliff Kingsbury get rewarded. Well, both Kyler and Cliff have the same agent. So I'm wondering, okay, who's really winning right now? Is Kyler winning? Is Cliff Kingsbury winning? Or is the agent who represents both of them winning? Those are the questions that I have as I sit and watch this from afar.
Well, the agent, who's the one who put out that lengthy statement on behalf of Kyler the other day, you just pointed it out, also represents the head coach. So, Mike T., from your perspective, and the GM there also got the contract extension, but how, if at all, does that factor into all this?
Yeah, I thought Cliff Kingsbury missed a massive opportunity to show leadership because the way Kyler Murray's agent handled it for Kyler Murray was completely unacceptable. You've been contract extension eligible for about 10 minutes. You want to get through the offseason, the draft, free agency. You want to improve the team. There's a time and a place. We can have discourse. We can have disagreements, Greeny. It's going to be behind closed doors. If I was the Cardinals, I would tell Eric Burkhardt, if you even breathe on social media, this deal is off the table. You can play this year. Next year, we'll franchise you the year after. There's a time and place to handle our business. And Cliff Kingsbury, as a head coach who just got an extension and as a steward of the franchise, he should have said that as well, because everyone's going to watch how this situation plays out. And the other point, I think RC brings up some really interesting insight into Kyler Murray's leadership. I would want to know this, Greeny. I would want to know from Kyler Murray if he believes or perceives he needs to improve his leadership. Because when you pay a quarterback $40 million a year or more, which is what he'll get, he has to be a guy that can lead your franchise and draw other people there for them to be successful.
Now, there's so much to this. Dan Graziano, I've pointed out many times on this and any other show, I don't believe in coincidences. And so the idea that all this is in the air right now with Kyler Murray, and then it feels like a day later, they extend the contracts of the coach and the general manager. What reaction are you hearing from all the people you're talking to there in Indy?
Yeah, look, I mean, certainly the timing of the announcement of the Keim and Kingsbury extensions is interesting to a lot of people. These deals tend to get done before they're announced. So the fact that they were announced yesterday, the week that Eric Burkhardt, the agent, came out with that statement saying he wanted a long-term deal for Kyler Murray is probably a statement by the Cardinals saying, hey, look, we're behind our guys. We're behind our leadership. It seems pretty clear at this point that there are things that Kyler Murray does/doesn't do that aggravate the Arizona Cardinals, right? We have Mortenson's report from Super Bowl Sunday. I know that Sacho said Larry Fitzgerald Sr. doesn't speak for Junior, but I don't think it's wrong to assume that at least part of Senior's insight comes from his son, who has been in the locker room and been a teammate of this player. So I think the Cardinals will end up signing him, but right now it seems they're trying to send messages to him via outside means of saying, we want you to do some things differently if we're going to commit long term.
You know what, Julian, our producer, let's just stay here on this thing a minute, because Sacho, you seem to disagree with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Well, I played for the Cardinals for 4 years. It was my first team that I was on in the NFL, and Fitz was a friend of mine, mentor, all those kinds of things. And I've seen his dad speak in the media, and Fitz didn't necessarily always like it, right? And so I'm not here to speak on behalf of him, but I do know that everyone is entitled to their own opinion. And so if you're in the media or whatever, if you're on social media, bump the media, social media, people have their opinion. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to go and have an opinion about Kyler Murray. You don't have to be in the locker room and, hey, what did you hear? What did you see? Fitz was not in the locker room this year. Mind you, he was there the year before, so I get that. So, Graz, I totally see where you're coming from. But I also just want to point out that this is a two-way street. We're putting all this focus on Kyler Murray, yet Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach of the team, the guy you brought to help win games, not tank at the end of the season, he should hold some type of responsibility as well. Not just this hype up and new contract and extension until 2027. There needs to be some onus on Kingsbury as well and asking him, hey, what do we need to do to get better? The same questions that Mike T would ask Kyler, ask those questions to the coach, because I feel like the coach should be helping develop the player and the entire team.
Yeah, that is an interesting. Go ahead, Graziano. I can tell you want to jump back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, look, what I said was, here's what we know, right? There are some issues between team and player here, right? What they are specifically, we can get dribs and drabs of it and find out through reporting. I agree with you, though, Sacho, that it's not fair, right, for the team to be doing this to Kyler Murray, right? Like, if you want to send a message, you have his phone number, right? So I think that to the extent that this is leaking out, I don't think it's exactly fair to the player or the situation. So I see where you're coming from as well.
Yeah, there's two-way streets involved in all this stuff, Mike T, because I mean, a lot of this began, at least publicly, when Kyler Murray scrubbed the Cardinals from his social media, which is a very 2022 way of making a passive-aggressive statement about your unhappiness with the situation. Mike T, go.
Right, but this is going to be a marriage of convenience, which is if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you're not going to get a better quarterback than Kyler Murray. He'd be the first player in this year's draft, next year's draft. With that said, Greeny, it's so important that if he's going to be the centerpiece of this franchise, when you look at the recent successes of Tampa Bay, the Rams, even Green Bay, those players care deeply about one another. There's a real aura of association. Kyler Murray needs to take the next step in his career, not from just on the field, but off the field. And I agree with Sacho. That's part of Cliff Kingsbury's job responsibility, is to help to develop Kyler Murray into that leader. Because, again, when you're paying guys so much of the cap, they're going to have to bring guys in on one-year deals, and they're going to have to feel like, hey, if I go to Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, they could take me to where I want to go.
RC, put a final thought on it.
The big thing is this. They need to handle this thing like adults. If you're the Arizona Cardinals, you aren't going to get a better quarterback than Kyler Murray. You need to sit in the room and say, Kyler, what do you need from us to feel like you're supported here? And Kyler Murray also has to listen to the leadership and understand how they want him to be a leader, what type of player they need him to be, and the way he needs to conduct himself as QB1 of the Arizona Cardinals. This is not supposed to be played out for all of us to see. He's a young quarterback. He does have a lot to learn. And as an organization, you need to understand that. But Kyler Murray also has to hold himself accountable, too, as a franchise quarterback, as a guy that is the face of the Arizona Cardinals. There are certain ways to conduct yourself. But as an organization, you have to get right from a business standpoint and professionalism standpoint as well, and not leak things that put a negative light on your young QB.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.